What's up guys, Infernape here, and welcome back to the next part of me remaking teams in Pokemon. Last time I went over the Paldea gym leaders, then the time before that I went through all of the Elite Four members, and then the time before that I went through all of the gym leaders. Now, I'm going to be going over the champions. For those who don't know how this works, I am going to be going over all of the teams in the champions, and rebuilding their teams to what I believe makes more sense, or what I think would be a better fit for their teams. And also what would make the game a bit better, in my own opinion. Honestly, I feel like these teams are pretty decent. Like, I didn't make too many changes, but I feel like these teams are definitely a lot better than they were originally. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, if you agree with my team, how you would rebuild their teams, and if you have any video suggestions for the future, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's get into the video! Okay, to kick things off, we're going to be starting with the OG champion, Blue. Now, we're going to be assuming that this is going to be his team for every single time that you face him as the champion, except for Pokemon Yellow, because his team is slightly different due to the fact that you start with Pikachu and then he starts with Eevee. So, I'm going to be giving him separate teams for when he's in either Red, Blue, Fire Red and Leaf Green, and then give him a different team for when you face him in Yellow. His ace Pokemon is going to remain the same, that being the starter Pokemon that is stronger than yours, either Venusaur, Charizard or Blastoise. Then I'll be throwing in some heavy hitters, those being Alakazam, Pidgeot, Rhydon and Machamp, and also I'm going to be throwing it in his Electabuzz that he used in Stadium, plus it'll be a reference to his anime counterpart, Gary Oak, because he runs an Electivire, so I feel like that's a pretty nice reference. For his yellow team, we're going to be going to have his evolution that is, well, depending on how well you play the game. Basically, depending on how well you battle him, it could evolve into either Jolteon, Flareon, or Vaporeon. It all depends on how well you play against him. So, for his other members, we've got Alakazam, Sandslash, Fearow, Machamp, and Exeggutor. Nice Pokemon that he has canonically used and have owned. So, I feel like both of these teams are pretty decent in both their equal rights. Can't decide which one I think is better than the other, but I feel like these teams are still pretty decent. Alright, the next champion is gonna be Lance. And honestly, there's not an awful lot that I can do with this, because of the fact that he's supposed to be a dragon champion and a dragon type trainer, but unfortunately, there are only 4 dragon types up until this point. That being Dratini, Dragonair, Dragonite, and Kingdra. Yeah, not a lot that I can do here. As you can see, this is how Lance's team looks. And literally, the best that I can do is to chuck out one of his Dragonite and swap it in for Kingdra. At least then, he can actually use more Dragon-type Pokemon instead of 3 bloody Dragonite. Not to mention, this way, you are incapable of sweeping the whole game with either a Starmie or a Lapras who knows the moves Surf, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam. Next up is Steven, and this guy is a mineral type trainer. For those who don't know, that means he uses rock, ground, and steel type Pokemon. So, that's why I'm going to make sure that I respect that and give him those respected types. And I feel like I did a decent job replacing, well, one of his Pokemon. You'll see what I mean. Steven's ace is still going to be Metagross as usual. Then the rest of his team is as follows: Aggron, Skarmory, Flygon, Armaldo, and Cradily. So as you can see, all I did was swap out his Claydol with Flygon, because personally I don't really see why Claydol is there. Like, I just don't really think it fits. Like, the only reason I can see it being there is to counter any fighting type Pokemon that may occur. But I feel like Flygon is a better fit, plus it's a lot more powerful. And now, we're still going to be in Hoenn, but we're going to be talking about the Emerald champion, Wallace. Now this guy definitely needed a bit of a power boost, and I think I've done so. So his ace is still going to be Milotic, but his new team is going to be Wailord, Swampert, Ludicolo, Gyarados, and Tentacruel. Honestly, I feel like this is a much better team by leaps and bounds, because of the fact that now he's running a goddamn Swampert. Swampert is OP. Honestly, I don't get why he didn't run it in the get-go. Plus, keep in mind that in the anime, he had a Swampert. Why didn't he use it in the games? So, I feel like this is a perfect addition to his team. Plus, I feel like this team makes it even more difficult to use both electric and grass-type Pokemon. The whole point of his team was to make it difficult for him to use those types, but this makes it even more difficult. Alright, next up is Cynthia. And honestly, there isn't a lot that I can really change about Cynthia's team because it's so good. But I did make some small alterations, so I feel like this became a little bit stronger, if I'm being honest. Her ace is still obviously going to be Garchomp, and then for the rest of her team, I'm going to be throwing in Spiritomb, Porygon Z, Lucario, Roserade, and Milotic. I decided to throw in Porygon Z from BDSP because of how broken it is. Plus, if you throw that in instead of her Hustle or Togekiss and her duplicate Water-type Gastrodon, not only does the team become more diverse, it becomes even more broken. Plus, the stats don't lie. It is an absolutely badass Pokemon. Next up, we've got Alder. And honestly, there's not an awful lot that I can do with Alder because of the fact that I don't really know a lot about him on a personal level. Like, the best that I know about him is that his starter died from a fatal illness. And I don't really know a lot about him, and I don't know a lot about his personality or his likings or dislikings. So I kind of just decided to give him OP Pokemon from Gen 5. His ace will still be Volcarona, but the rest of his team is Bouffalont, Escavalier, Braviary, Electros, and Seismitoad. At least this way, he doesn't have too many weaknesses. Plus, I feel like this is a massive improvement from how his team used to be. And now for the second Unova champion, Iris. She's supposed to be a dragon user, and yet half her team are dragon types. So, I'm going to be trying my best to fill in the blanks to the best of my abilities. Her ace will still be Haxorus, then it'll be filled out with the rest of the dragon types available in this game. That being Hydreigon, Druddigon, Flygon, and Altaria, and her final Pokemon will be Aggron, because of the fact that it will counter any ice types you may bring, and dragon type moves don't do much against Aggron. So that way it takes care of ice types and dragon types. Next up we have Diantha, and honestly, there's not a lot that we can do with her, because we have little to no information about her. Literally, all we know is that she's an actress. That's it. So, this isn't ideal, but I decided to give her a team based around maybe magazine or Pokemon that would be on a magazine. More like feminine or classed as beautiful Pokemon, because I feel like that's the sort of Pokemon she would have on her team. More feminine-based Pokemon. Diantha's ace will still be Mega Gardevoir, and the rest of her team is Gourgeist, Aurorus, Delphox, Goodra, and Nidoqueen. I know, 2 Psychic types, yes, I know. But honestly, this is all I can do. Because I don't see her using a Tyrantrum and a Hawlucha. It doesn't really fit her personality. So, I kind of had to go with this. Now we've got the Alola games. They may not have a champion, because the whole point of this game that there isn't a champion, and then you become the new champion of Alola, but you do have to challenge people in order to gain the title of champion. So, I'm going to be going over those battles. The first being Professor Kukui. There isn't a lot that I can change, but I feel like I did a decent job. First off, he's going to have a fixed starter, that being Incineroar, because I feel like it would be a great homage to the anime, and also, I don't think the other two starters really match his personality, so Incineroar is staying on his team no matter what starter you pick. The other Pokemon he's going to have is Lycanroc, Braviary, Alolan Ninetales, the Lucario he has in the anime, and Alolan Exeggutor. You may be wondering why I decided to give him Alolan Exeggutor. Well, it was discussed in the game that he challenged the gym leaders and went to the Indigo League. So, I feel like this would be a good reference to that, because he could have caught the Execute in Kanto, brought it over to Alola, and evolved it into an Alolan Exeggutor. So I just feel like that'd be a pretty decent reference, if you ask me. Next up is How. It annoyed me that from this point, your main rival had the starter that's weak against yours. So, I changed that, plus with a few minor changes along the way as well. Like I said, How's best Pokemon is going to be the starter that's stronger against yours, instead of the one that's weaker against yours. Next is the evolution that is weaker against the starter that you chose, followed by Alolan Raichu, Kommo-o, Alolan Sandslash, and Snorlax. Not 100% sure if this is, in terms of type weaknesses, better or weaker than his original team, but I feel like this works a lot better. Seems a lot more powerful if you ask me. Next is Trace. I hate Trace so much. So, I decided to give his team a bit of a makeover. For starters, he's no longer having that stupid Pidgeot, because I personally associate Pidgeot more to blue than I do Trace. So, I'm giving him a different Mega Evolution. So, Trace's Mega Evolution is going to be a Mega Aerodactyl, followed by the Electric type starter, depending on which version you play. If you play Let's Go Pikachu, it'll be Jolteon. If you play Let's Go Eevee, it'll be Raichu. And then his other members are Arcanine, Slowbro, Victreebel, and Marowak. Next is Leon. I found it a bit difficult at first to figure out a team for Leon, but I think I did a decent job after I gave it a bit more thought. Leon's ace is still going to be Gigantamax Charizard. His starter is going to be the one that beats you. Then it's going to be Dragapult, Mr. Rhyme, Aegislash, and Rhyperior. This way, he has a team of unique types, unless he decides to have Cinderace and Charizard. But anyway, this way, his typing is quite unique and pretty interesting if you ask me. And finally, we have Geeta. Geeta is the one that convinced me to do this video. Her team is shit. So, she definitely needed the biggest facelift out of all the champions I've discussed so far. So, time to show you the new and improved Geeta. For the first time in this entire video, she's not going to be keeping the same ace. Her brand new ace is Goldengo, followed by Armarouge, Glimmora, Palafin, Kilowattrel, and her Go-Goat. Yes, I know that half the team are weak to ground types, but the other half takes care of ground types. Plus, I feel like this team is far, far superior to the team that she had in Scarlet and Violet. So I feel like these are definitely better versions of champion teams. And there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, if you agree with the changes I made, how you would change their teams, and if you have any video suggestions for the future, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Did you enjoy the video as much as I did making it? If you did, be sure to give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, share this video with a friend, and if you're new, subscribe to my channel. It's been Inferno today. Okay, that's all from me, so until the next time, this is Inferno, signing off. Bye!